Hey everyone, the name is Erik Thor, and wow, I am frankly appalled by how people are completely oblivious to how sensitive they are. Yes, I see so many people walking around completely unaware of how neurotic they appear and how neurotic they probably are. Yes, people are walking around not aware of how easily frustrated they appear, how upset they become too easily, how sensitive they appear, and how neurotic and unstable their mood appears to be. People are often oblivious to how they are feeling or the fact that they are getting angry or stupid things or silly things, and people are never really aware of the cause. What is it that makes us get rattled? What is it that makes us so overwhelmed, and why aren't we noticing the cause? You have a problem, and that every one of us have a problem, and that is that our mind can get overwhelmed by bad stimuli. And it can be stimuli of the level of sensations that are uncomfortable, lights that are too bright, sounds that are too loud, and things that frankly just overwhelm our sensory senses, our five senses. The intensity of a situation can seriously make you become more like a pillow swing, easily annoyed, easily offended, and easily hurt by the smallest things. And the thing is here, it's not the small things that are offending you, but the small things become the triggers of the feeling that you are feeling. Because you are overwhelmed, the small things that you notice can inconvenience you in ways that they wouldn't inconvenience you if you were less stressed out. Now, what I've found is that intuitive types, in particular, are all to some extent sensitive to strong sensations. Yes, as an intuitive, the thought of something that is too intense on a sensory scale is going to cause you a degree of discomfort and overwhelm. And not only that, but it's also going to slightly decrease your energy, making you appear less engaged, less active, and less aware of yourself. And that is what causes the issue here. You are experiencing two things at the same time. You are first and foremost experiencing a drop of energy and interest and consciousness, becoming less aware of your decisions, becoming less aware of your mind, becoming less aware of yourself and your thoughts. You are also at the same time noticing yourself getting more easily emotional, more easily rattled, more easily discomforted. And so you are becoming more emotional, but you're becoming less aware of how emotional you are. In a situation of sensory overwhelm, we are so prone to losing perspective completely. We can become kind of blinded to how we are feeling and what we are thinking, and we can start making decisions based on this overwhelm that we are feeling. And suddenly this feeling of the environment being too bright or too much or too intense for you becomes the deciding factor to make an important life decision. You can end up saying something you didn't intend to say. You can end up making a decision you didn't want to do. You can do something that wasn't your core intention simply because the experience of the overwhelm drove you to the point where your emotions got the better of you and where you lashed out not towards the cause of your overwhelm but towards something else. And what I notice is intuitives are overall more sensitive not just to smells, to touch, to visual stimuli, to taste, but also to things like, for example, eye contact, crowds, and overall environments that are very open. All intuitives, I've noticed, require a degree of privacy to work at their best. And in a situation where you aren't getting your need for privacy, your need for alone time, sheltered, away from others, away from the strong sensations, where you can unbind, where you can just relax to a song or to music, tuning out of your world, closing your eyes and simply going into contemplation mode. Why do intuitives need to do this? Well, apparently there's a network in the brain called the attention network or the saliency network, and this network is less active for intuitives. At least intuitives need less activity in this network to work to their fullest. And when this activity is at its highest, your ability to deal with complex information, depth, nuance, and creative or abstract information to some degree, that ability is inhibited. You become less creative, you become less likely to think in an intuitive way, you become less likely to deal with complex information, and you become more shallow. And that's also why we at parties can't have deep conversations. Why can't you get a group of 10 people to start talking deeply to one another in a situation at a party? Well, frankly, nobody can, because the intensity of the situation, the amount of people talking over each other's heads, the high, fast pace of the environment, everything around you is meant to discourage you from depth. And so parties lead us towards being more shallow, being more social oriented, being more people oriented, being more surface oriented. We are experiencing an overwhelm, and in this state we are less able to think logically, less able to think deductively, less able to think intuitively. Now, the fascinating thing about this, because seriously it's something I wish people became more aware of, is that intuition requires you to be private, to be alone, to have your own space, to have your own desk where you can tune out. And so, to be sensory, you require the opposite. You require to have people around you, you require to have things happening, you require to have clear instructions and fast pace in an environment that enables action and that shows you literally clearly things you can do. A sensor requires things to touch, hold, feel, take, taste, smell, and use, and grab, and have, and hold, and experience in as many ways as possible. And the more immediate, the better for a sensor. Sensors thrive on having the ability to respond immediately to something, and anything that is farther away is lost on the sensor. And so you might have noticed that in different situations you're gonna need different things. If you are gonna need to be more like a sensor, you're gonna need an environment that supports that. And if you want to be more intuitive, you're gonna need to have more alone time. This is also why a lot of intuitives mistake themselves to be introverts, where introversion is about the need to reflect, to be cautious, to be careful. Intuition is about the need to have your own space and to have things that aren't completely filled out. You want to have a form that gives you part of the answer but not the full equation, because intuition requires you to actively reason on your own about the world. Intuition requires that empty space around you, that blank piece of spot on the paper to fill in, that open area that you can do and use in whatever way you wish. That darkness that you can use to reason about the world. Intuitives depend on having less stimuli to work at their best. And intuitives that don't get this become overwhelmed. I think the leading cause of being an intuitive, the actual factor that makes you an intuitive, is a strong preference to have less clutter, to have less things around you, to have less people to talk to have less intense situations, to have less strong lights, to have more balanced tone of voice, to have a normal speaking voice. Things that can get you to actively use your intuition at its fullest. And what I notice is intuitive's biggest struggle is attention. That intuitive's biggest struggle is that ability to listen to what other people are saying, to take in the entire message, to read all the instructions, to get all information before you proceed, to make sure you have everything on paper, everything clear in front of you. Intuitives need part of the explanation left out. We need that argument that wasn't finished so that we can fill it in, so that we can try to understand and reason about the world. And are you as an intuitive getting that level of depth, or are you keeping yourself busy with other things that will overwhelm you, things that will stimulate you, things that will make you a little more restless? Are you letting yourself be intuitive, or are you walking around in a constant state of overwhelm? Are you the person that is running around recklessly, restlessly, in a way that is rattled, in a way that is overwhelmed, frustrated, emotional? Or are you proceeding in a way that works with you? Are you letting yourself get that balance that you so badly need to work at your fullest? Or are you keeping yourself at that level that is either too little or too much for your ability to function at its finest? That's my question for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a like, share, subscribe, and as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and may your neurons be with you.